Hey everybody, it's the Creative One back with another movie review. Let's get into it. Hello everybody. I hope everybody is doing good. So today I'm doing a movie review about the 2026 horror film Obsession. It was actually released in September 2025, but I guess it made a wider release in theaters in May 2026. So, yeah. This movie is a supernatural horror film. Like I said, it came out this year. Last year, but it was released in theaters this year. It's 1 hour and 49 minutes long. It's rated R. The main character in this movie is Bear. He works at a music store, and he has this crush on this woman named Nikki. She's a childhood friend. They also work together, so he just has a really big crush on her. He wants to be with her, be in a relationship with her, date her. But, his character in the movie, you could tell from the beginning that he's very insecure. He has very low self-esteem. In the beginning of the movie, his cat does end up dying, so he does have some distress from that. Like I said, you could tell that he's insecure, he's lonely. So his character definitely does portray that. Early in the movie, you can see that about him from the very beginning. But Bear, like I said, he has a crush on this woman named Nikki, who is a friend of his and who he also works with. I think she was in his life for a long time, so he's known this girl for some years. So Bear, he ends up going to this convenience store, and he ends up purchasing something called One Wish Willie, which is, I guess you could say, kind of like, well, it just looks like a little stick when he opens it, but it's obviously like some kind of witchcraft, but he doesn't know that at first. I don't even think that he thinks that the wish is even gonna come true, but so he ends up wishing that Nikki will, love him more than anyone in the world, and, that she would pretty much be obsessed with him and want him. So he ends up dropping her off after they end up hanging out. He ends up telling her that he's in distress and that he's sad because his cat ended up dying. And one thing that was very interesting about this movie is that I'm kind of jumping around a little bit. Sorry, because, it's just so much to this movie and so much I have to say. It's not really in order, but it will all make sense at the end of the video, so just bear with me. It was very interesting because before he had even made that wish, it seemed like the girl had a liking towards him, or like she was interested in dating him. So it would have been great if his character just had, more self-esteem, or just wasn't so insecure, because it did seem like, Nikki, his crush, the one that he wanted to be with, it seemed like she was kind of thinking about being with him, or thinking about giving him an opportunity to date her, because before he had even made the wish, she asked him, are you interested in me? Do you like me? And for some reason, he had said no. You could tell that he automatically regretted saying no, but I don't know. Like I said, he was just kind of an awkward person, like very, very low self-esteem. So like I said, he probably just didn't have the self-esteem or the courage to let her know how he really felt. But while he was in the car and while she was walking on her way to her door going home, he ended up making the wish, and, he broke the stick, and then automatically the wish came true. She ends up walking back to his car. She ends up she just starts acting really weird. She starts contradicting herself. She says one thing and then right after that she says something the complete opposite. Like, you could tell right when he made the wish, like something switched like that, like automatically. So she just started acting weird. She started talking in circles. She would say something and then say the contrast right after. Like, the stuff she was saying wasn't even making any sense. Like, her personality was going in and out, kind of like she was two different people. So they get closer. They start dating, you know, they become a thing, you know, but she's acting weird the whole time. Nikki, she's acting very strange. She ended up lying about her dad having cancer. And then another friend of his ends up calling him on the phone while him and her were out to eat, saying that she lied, that her dad didn't have cancer, that her dad is healthy, he's not in the hospital, that her dad has been at work every day. And that another friend of theirs told Bear's friend that Nikki was not interested in him and that she's seen him more like a brother. So their friends and people around them found it very odd, you know, that all of a sudden, you know, they just started dating and that they got very serious all of a sudden. Everybody around them thought that that was very weird how that happened, because, you know, it was just out of nowhere. But like the whole time, you know, Bear, he doesn't really know exactly what's going on. So like I say, she's acting very strange, you know, throughout the whole movie. You know, like I said, it's like she's two different people. She becomes very violent, you know, very obsessive over him, doesn't want him to leave, always constantly needing validation, always wants him, you know, to tell her that he loves her, like, just, you know, doing the most. But that's what he wished for. So the whole time, Bear, he doesn't really, you know, he knows that something is off. He knows that she's definitely different. There's something not right, but he really doesn't know. He ends up calling, he does end up calling the number on the back of the thing that he purchased, the One Wish Willow. I know I said Willie earlier, sorry. It was called One Wish Willow. That's what he purchased to make the wish. It's obviously some kind of witchcraft or something like that. But he ends up calling the number that was on the back of it. So a man answered the phone. The man didn't sound like he was professional, like he was at any business or anything like that. He just sounded like he was just somebody at his house or something. So that was very interesting. But the man was pretty much saying, you know, how can I help you? And then he was just, you know, saying that he wanted to alter the wish, but the man was saying, you know, that he couldn't alter the wish. And he was just saying, like, you know, what can I do to make things better? Like, she's not normal. She's acting really weird. You know, he told the man, you know, I wish that this girl, you know, will fall for me and love me, but, you know, like, she's acting weird, she's acting crazy. And so the man ends up, you know, saying, well, do you want to speak to her? And I guess it was the real Nikki screaming in the background. I guess she was possessed. I guess the real Nikki was possessed or trapped in hell somewhere. But, you know, whatever Nikki he had wasn't the real her. She was definitely possessed. So that was very, very interesting. That is the part where he definitely knew she was possessed, or, you know, that was not the real Nikki. He had the feeling all along when she started acting weird, but then he definitely knew that she had to be possessed or something. But that was very interesting. Whoever that person on that phone was, I don't know if it was the devil or a demon or something like that, but yeah. It didn't even sound like it could have been like even a person. It was very strange. But that part was very good. That was probably actually my favorite part within the whole movie. So But after he finds out, she's possessed, he becomes very distressed about the situation. He starts pretty much trying to find out how he can fix the situation. There's a scene where he starts talking, to their mutual friend, Sarah. They're in the car. Sarah actually tells him, that she was messing around with their other friend. I believe his name is Ian, the other friend. Sarah, she also expresses to him that her and Nikki were casually messing around. And Sarah actually ends up, saying, oh, well, I think Nikki is just dating you, just to get back at Ian because, she's upset, that, she just wanted to get back at the friend. That's what Sarah, was telling Bear, not even knowing, the whole situation. But Sarah, she also had a crush on Bear. And while they were in the car, she was trying to kiss him, but Nikki had came and, and killed her. She had slashed her face on the steering wheel, brutally killing her. So Bear, he pretty much knows he fucked up. He knows that it's a deadly situation. He helps Nikki get rid of Sarah's body. So he ends up, going back to the store, and the store clerk pretty much tells him, people come in here all the time saying, that their wish went bad. There's nothing you can really do, call the back of the of the product and, call the number. He said, which he did call the number, and the guy was pretty much a demon or the devil or something. So that wasn't going anywhere. Yeah, so at the end, he pretty much goes to his friend Ian's house and tells him what happened. And he tells Ian, to try to make a wish for him to alter it so Nikki will no longer be possessed. But the friend didn't end up doing that. The friend ended up wishing for $1 billion, so that plan didn't work, which I knew that the friend was gonna do that. I was like, I don't think the friend is gonna go through with that plan. He's gonna make his own wish, and that's exactly what ended up happening. And so, yeah, $1 billion came raining from the sky and came in through his roof. That's what the friend wished for. And when they make a wish, it's like the wish automatically happens. Like, they don't have to wait. Like, it happens automatically. So, but yeah, he's just, in distress, trying to figure out how to make this situation better. But he comes to a realization, the situation is not going to get better. Ian ends up coming in. Nikki ends up shooting Ian right when he walks in the door. Yeah, it's just sad, Sarah and Ian, they both got killed. And one thing about this movie, it could have been a lot scarier. It could have been, more killings in it. But Nikki, when she had got possessed, she really didn't kill people. Like, she was acting crazy and acting strange and odd, but they really didn't show her kill people till mostly kind of towards the end of the movie. His cat had died. He expressed that to her. And in the beginning of the movie, when she sent him lunch, she ended up sending a picture of him that said you, and then it was a picture of her and him, and it said not me. So that was a clue that it wasn't her, that she was possessed or something. She was just doing a lot of sick shit. She ended up cooking his cat and putting cat meat, his dead cat, in his sandwich for work, all kinds of deranged shit. But they didn't really show her, killing people until, the end of the movie. So I felt they could have made this movie a lot scarier if they wanted to. It could have been, it could have been more killings in it for sure. Because like I said, she really didn't kill Sarah and Ian until towards the end of the movie. So I thought that this movie definitely could have been scarier. I thought that the acting in this movie could have been a little bit better, in my opinion. But this movie, it was a damn good movie. It really was. It had a very modern feel to it. That's why I love watching new movies. Like, I just love like watching new movies and new things that get released. Like, I just love seeing like what's up to date and what's out now. So it definitely like has like a new feel to it, if that makes sense. I did enjoy this movie. It definitely kept me entertained. It definitely kept me watching it till the end to see what was going to happen. I would 1 through 10, I will give this movie an 8. I love the concept of it. I like the plot. Like I said, I felt like it could have been scarier. I felt like, Nikki's character, she could have, been more evil and killed more people. I just felt like they could have made it scarier. It could have been more killings in the movie. And I also feel like, the acting could have been a little bit better. I mean, the acting, it was good, but I just felt like the acting just could have been a little better, in my opinion. But this movie was really good. I thought it was a lot of symbolism in this movie. For one, I feel like it teaches you, be careful what you wish for, because, you can wish for something or speak something into existence or want something and think it may not happen, and it could happen, and it may not be how you want things to go. So, and it also, I feel like this movie symbolizes like, you could want to be with a person and, finally get them, and then the person could not be, who you think that they are. Like, you could want to be with a person so bad and then get with them, get in a relationship with them, and that person, they could have mental problems that you had no idea about. They can be abusive, they can be crazy. Like, I feel like this movie symbolized that. Like, you could want someone so bad and then finally get with them, and then they can be a completely different from what you thought they were, or how you thought the relationship was going to work out. So that's like pretty much what I took from the movie. I feel like it symbolized that a lot. Like, you want something so bad, but you never really know how it is or how to be with a person until you're actually with them. Like, I know in the movie, like in this scenario, she was possessed and all of that. So that's why, the female Nikki was acting that way. That's why her character acted like that, because she was pretty much possessed. But I feel like, in real life, like, it just symbolizes a lot. Like I say, like, there's people who want to be with a person so bad, and then you finally get them, and then the person is a stalker, they're crazy, they have mental issues, like, it's crazy. But that's what I mainly took from the movie. Like I said, this was a really good movie. If you haven't watched it, you need to give it a watch. It's really good. Like I said, in my opinion, it could have been scarier, but I did like the movie for what it was. Like I said, I did like the end of the movie. At the end, he did end up killing himself. Well, it showed him like he was going to end up shooting himself, but he didn't end up shooting himself. He ended up taking a whole bunch of pills at the end of the movie, and he did end up overdosing. And when he died at the end, Nikki, she was no longer possessed. At the end of the movie, she was just screaming and yelling. I don't know if there's going to be a sequel, if there's going to be a part 2, but that's very interesting to see. But if there was a part 2, I would assume that Nikki, her character, would probably go to jail, because she did kill Sarah and Ian. But I don't know. That's a whole nother movie if that does happen. Did you guys enjoy this movie? Do you think it's going to be a sequel? Like and comment on this video. Let me know what you think about the movie. What was some of your favorite parts? What would you rate this movie? Like, was it anything that you were expecting it to be? Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.